Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Vineet Toshniwal, who is the founder of BizzO, which is an app that manages bookings for businesses. He has also co-founded another venture called City Cash. Let me welcome Vineet. Hi Vineet, welcome to ELI.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pierre.
I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Thank you. So I have a career experience of over 25, 26 years, having completed my MBA in finance. Then from there, I worked for large banks like Citibank and then Bank of America. From there, I took a very lateral jump and I
Mhm.
decided to join Infosys to head their business operations, build the business in the Far East as Greater China head. So I was
Okay.
based in Hong Kong, built business out of Hong Kong, Shanghai, Taipei, Beijing. And it was a wonderful journey starting from zero, literally, and having reached thousands of people in the development center in Shanghai. Then I decided to come back to India because obviously my calling is India. I know that. And I built an investment bank along with some a friend that I knew, Equirus Capital. I stayed with that for about 8 years. Over there, I got to meet various entrepreneurs in various M&A deals, financing, VC tech, all that stuff we used to do. And then I realized the massive opportunities out there to build a tech platform oriented business. And that's when I decided to take a jump and, I decided to launch my own venture. And that's where I am. And now I have a large team of about 40, 45 people, and we have a fast growing business.
Tell us about the BizzO, what it is about, and in detail, tell us about the venture.
Sure. I've been in my entrepreneur journey for the last 3 to 4 years. Over there, I was involved in the transit-driven payments, and the COVID first wave hit, the second wave hit, and I realized for businesses which are, operating small businesses in Bharat, obviously their business came to a halt, right, completely. And over there, I realized there is a massive opportunity to digitize their businesses so that they are not so much dependent on physical interactions and all, and they can carry out their businesses digitally. So from there, this idea was born. And then I dug a little deeper into the whole problem statement, and my study told me that there is a massive wave of entrepreneurship in India, which are small micro entrepreneur businesses. Now, these businesses are all looking to go digital, clearly. As of now, they are dependent on aggregators. For example, if you have a small taxi company, 5 to 10 taxis, you will list your taxi companies on Ola and Uber.
Mhm.
If you have a small villa or a small boutique hotel, you will list it on Make My Trip or Oyo or something. If you are a tour operator, again, you will list it on Airbnb or other stuff like that. So while, everybody enjoyed that 4, 5, 7 years of, businesses coming through aggregators, but over a period of time, all these businesses realize that nothing like building your own business direct with the consumer, so that the consumer knows you. You build a brand loyalty with the consumer. He comes as a repeat business to you, not to the aggregator. And most importantly, you save on the large commissions that you shell out to the aggregators, which is in the magnitude of 25 to 30% at times, which leaves nothing for these small micro businesses. So that's when I realized, if there is a tech platform which allows a small micro business to go direct, where they can save on their commissions, they can then build a massive distribution. Once they go digital, they are discoverable on Google, they can be on Facebook, Instagram, and carry out their business campaigns and everything direct with the consumers and all, and also automate their routine mundane tasks like invoices, vouchers, GST payouts, where the system does everything for them. Then the entrepreneur will be productive, will earn more profits and increase their top line.
Speaking of tech platform, can you tell us what are the different modules that you have inside the platform?
So BizzO is a do-it-yourself app. If you are in any kind of a service business, let's say you're operating a taxi company, what you need to do is you can download it from the Play Store directly, register your business. build your services catalog. Like you, if you have a service offering of airport transfers, you have a 8 hour 80 kilometer type of city business city tour service or something, or you have intercity service, you can just build your own entire service catalog on this BizzO app. Link the pricing obviously for different products, link the availability in terms of when all you're available, the link the inventory capacity also. Like let's say you have a fleet of 10 taxis operating, then all that capacity is all linked. With all that, you directly go digital, and once your booking portal is built, you can start transacting with all your customers, business partners and everyone digitally.
Can you tell us what is the problem statement that you are solving in a simplified manner?
Sure. So if you look at life of a small microservice business person who's engaged in any providing any kind of a services, the biggest problem that he faces is missed bookings, right? Because either you are servicing a customer, then you miss a call. Miss a call means missed booking or a missed customer, or you are relaxing, then you are forced to pick up the phone, or you are maybe with your family on a personal time like a movie or something, again you have to take the call. So what if if there is a system which is working for this small micro business 24/7 digitally, where the bookings just keep coming digitally and the customer service is partially taken care of by the app itself, where you have to just focus on actually providing the service rather than engaging in tens of calls during the day and hundreds of WhatsApp as a result, right, and collecting payments. So we are basically automating the pain of taking digital booking for them with a simple do-it-yourself app.
What is the current scale of operation at BizzO in terms of number of businesses onboarded and number of bookings they are getting out of it?
So we are actually very new in the market, I would say. We went live about second, third week of January. The minimal viable product is launched. And since then, we have acquired over 5,000 customers. These are all organic customers. Okay, we have not even launched our digital campaign yet. And we are getting tremendous response. For example, I'll give you example of one taxi union, which is a Mahabaleshwar taxi union. Now it's a taxi union which runs taxis. They obviously have a manual booking system. You approach their window, buy the taxi service that you want, pay in cash, get a perchi, and walk up to the taxi, right, like that. Now they've gone totally digital, where you can either book it on their website or directly scan the QR code at the site itself. The taxi booking can be done. Payment is done digitally. You get the invoice and vouchers, and you are assigned a taxi driver and a taxi number, and the guy just calls you and says, I'm ready to service you, right? So that's the kind of traction we are getting from all the small businesses.
5,000 is quite a big number when you consider that timeline you just launched in January. So can you tell us what is the way you are acquiring the initial set of users?
Sure. So acquisition is done in two ways. One is we've got a lot of partner agencies which are actually having runners, and they have young boys and girls college going. They go and explain the concept to the small businesses in and around in their local area. Once the person is convinced, then they download the app for him and explain the app and build the service for him and activate it. Right. That's one way to acquire. The other is obviously through company-owned salespeople, and the third is coming through referrals. Once you are digital and you've enjoyed some sort of service convenience to this, you are bound to talk with your other fellow businessmen around you and say, look how my life has changed. So the new signups are also coming through referrals. Next, we will definitely be launching a massive digital awareness campaign in about 2-3 weeks time, and that's when the very, very big numbers will start coming.
Speaking of minimum viable product, can you tell us how do you measure the product market fit of your product, and on what level have you reached as a product on the PMF spectrum?
Sure. So see, PMF is a journey, right? Definitely. I won't ever say that any product has really can say that I've found everything, but definitely there could be different stages. So our first validation in the market is everybody is busy. Okay. More so when you are small. you have less time. So is the person ready to give us that 30-45 minutes of his precious time, willing to listen and understand about our product, willing to see the benefits and USPs of it? Does it appeal to him? And is he ready to download the product, build his entire business profile website? Because it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to build somebody's entire business catalog, right? So that's where we are seeing tremendous success. 70% plus people that we are approaching are actually ending up as our customers. And what we intend to do is we intend to build an ecosystem. So we are focusing a lot on the travel, tourism, hospitality value chain. So when you look at travel, tourism, hospitality, it's like a baton race, right? You go on a travel somewhere, the taxi guy comes in the play, then he drops you at a hotel, then the next day some tour guide will come, then you will do some activity. Now the entire value chain is on BizzO. So then you can be experiencing a digital booking across your entire travel actually. So that's where we intend to build an ecosystem where one party is not only consuming, not only going digital with BizzO, but also able to offer the services of their fellow service people, and cross sell and upsell other services.
What are the different challenges that you have faced or have been facing while building and growing this venture?
Okay, so it was conceptualized and built during the peak of COVID. So clearly, the best businesses are built during the toughest of the times, as the saying goes, to give the vision to the entire team that, we are going to pivot and we are going to build a new business. And this is going to be beneficial for the career, especially in 2021, when I think the tech talent war is at its peak, right? Because of the sheer amount of money that is flowing in. So keeping the team motivated, keeping the team engaged, that they appreciate the vision, right? That has been the biggest challenge, definitely. But the good part is, once you give the vision and people start to imbibe it, then it becomes a movement on its own. Now I don't have to tell anyone what BizzO can do. They themselves are so charged and powered up, that thinking of, okay, what should be the next version of the product. So that's on the business venture building. What is the challenge that we are facing when we go to the market? Clearly, I guess signing up new customers is not a challenge at all. I think because it's a vast, space and underserved completely. We are not fighting with any other app, really speaking. But what we are fighting and what we are up against is inertia, right? People are used to doing their business in a certain way. It could be suboptimal, yet they are in their comfort zone. So shaking somebody out of his comfort zone and telling, why don't you look at migrating your business from simply WhatsApp to a more organized platform, where your payments can be automated, the bookings can go digital. It requires some amount of push, it's some amount of follow-ups and everything, because it's not easy ever to change a habit.
Okay. Now, I would love to know a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Tell us why entrepreneurship. What drives you to become an entrepreneur?
Sure. So I would trace it back to my career switch that I made to Infosys. Clearly, I was like any other normal, all other MBAs. I did my MBA and I took a campus job, very cushy, comfortable job with the large banks, perks. But that's when opportunity with Infosys came along, and that's when I realized that the power of working on a vision and the power of making it work for yourself. And when I interacted with business leaders like Mr. Narayan Murthy or Mr. Nandan Nilekani at that time, what I saw, what was driving them was, one is obviously to build a venture and make a name for themselves. But I think their biggest satisfaction came from building, thousands of entrepreneurs, right, in the process, who would then mature and go on to become CEOs, founders of various companies, or start their own venture. This is where I think the biggest contribution Infosys has made. It has given confidence, global confidence to Indians to think, conceptualize products, and take on very very large ideas, right? So from there I got this, and I said, at some point of time, I would like to emulate them, maybe aspire to reach at their level at some point of time, but I would definitely like to emulate the path that they've taken. And this is what actually excites me at my age, that if I can grow and develop at least 100 entrepreneurs in the next 5 years, I would consider myself as a very big success.
Entrepreneurship is a tough journey as well. As an entrepreneur, you are expected to stay driven and energetic all the time because you have to motivate other people as well, drive other people as well. Uh, However, there would be instances when you may feel tired or you lose the focus, and when that happens, business also suffers. So, can you tell us how do you manage such situations when you lose your focus?
For sure, and I will definitely not try to beat around the bush there. Entrepreneurship is a lonely road. You're walking, and practically you're all alone, and there is a reason for it. There are multiple stakeholders that you are engaging with. Number one is, let's say, investors. Now, with investors, you have to appear irrationally optimistic at all points of time, because if you try to talk rational, practical, they will say you are not having a large vision. If you try and tell your troubles, they will say the company is in trouble, and sometimes they will be quick to wish you off, right? I'm not quoting anybody in particular. I'm just saying, this is what usually the mindset is, and I maybe even I would act that way if I were an investor. You are working with employees. That's the second set of very small, large stakeholders. You have to drive them and continuously feed them with optimistic vision, because they are looking over their shoulders. They're talking to their colleagues and other people in the industry, and there are so many distractions, whether it is higher salary or whether it is some other exciting opportunity or some other job to do, right? So you have to continuously remain optimistic, show them the big picture in the process. And definitely you are obviously you have to take into account your family also, because in entrepreneurship you have to give up a lot actually upfront, and the rewards are totally back-ended. So at times it requires a lot of compromise on the lifestyle and everything, because you have to tell them that, okay, 5 years later I'll be I'll make it big, but don't expect me to have the same lifestyle as I used to have when I was working as a senior vice president in Infosys or Citibank, right? So that's what. But how do you face it? Very clearly, at times when you are down and out, I've realized one has to go back to the classical principles of karmic action. I really believe in that. I have read and I have listened to the Bhagavad Gita, and I really believe that really you are, what is in your hands is doing the right karma. And as my dad, who just passed away a couple of weeks back, he used to tell me that you are driving on a foggy road, and your wipers are there. All you're able to see is from the headlight a few hundred meters. What you can do as a human is you make sure you drive well, and the path will become clear and clear, and as long as you know broadly where your destination is, you'll reach there. But otherwise, unnecessarily worrying too much about the end state and doing scenario building actually doesn't help. This is what I've learned.
Well, can you tell us how does an entrepreneur manages time? In your case, how does your calendar look like in a typical day?
Sure. So for me, a vision is very clear. Now, I slot my day. Morning is when you need to is the disconnect time. So I am a big reader in Indic history, the Vedic science, and everything. So I start my day, with 1 hour of reading and listening to podcasts and everything around that. That's when I broadly plan my day. Ki aaj kya karna hai, right? And how can I give my 100% to my day to day, so that I accomplish all my tasks and I'm left with some time in the end, towards the end of the day, to spend with my family also. So it involves 2-3 slots in a day. One is a clear slot where I have to speak to all key employees, right? Simple talk, touch base with them, health check. Life has become more difficult during this remote working, because the physical office is not available for you to say hi, hello, and coffee breaks and all those things are all gone. So it's all virtual connections and phone calls and all. So I make sure I amply do touch base with all the key employees and everyone. Then at the same time, I also make sure that I do read up on what's going on in the overall startup community, business community, what are the developments and all. And then definitely some time is reserved talking to current investors, talking to some business contacts in the industry, so that you are on top of everything, right? And Clearly, the next week plan should be in your mind, where exactly what I'm going to do over the next 10 to days to 1 month.
Speaking of employees, I think a big part of entrepreneur's life is to hire the right people for the venture, probably the biggest. Can you tell us how do you select people or how do you try to find the people who would be right people, right match for your venture?
Sure. So I have followed a thought process where actually I've never gone through any headhunter, right? Because if you hunt people, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but normally you end up with some sort of a misfit. There's a very high likelihood. I follow a different process. I communicate my vision, what I'm doing, everything amply to a lot of my friends, to on my college groups, on my other social groups and all. I make sure I communicate well what I'm doing, what I'm building, and the big vision around it, right? Now, as a result, what happens is there are obviously people who are looking around, reading, listening to things like your podcasts and everything. There are very motivated people who are driven towards you because of the sheer vastness of the vision, right? And definitely your personal track record counts when people look at an entrepreneur like me, who's got 25 to 20, 30 years of experience. They will say, what has this guy done in his life, and what is his previous experience, and the experience of other colleagues who have worked around with him, right? When they find a fit that, okay, I can work with this person, I like what he's doing, and I think if I'll be better served if I'm part of this vision. I have always seen people inbound approaches happen. Now, when inbound approach happen, I usually lay out my vision very clearly in detail, and I say, look, sleep over it, don't brush it, right? And think that if you were running this business, how would you do this business? And think of me as an investor, and come back and pitch to me as a potential entrepreneur who's about to launch BizzO, right? And then I go through a very passionate pitch from the other party, no matter what role I'm hiring for. And once the passion it comes out, for if the passion is coming out of eyes and ears, you can see it, right? That this person is totally into it, right? And then it's a question of just negotiating the terms and conditions and everything, right? So that's how all the key employees for me have worked out, and touch wood, we have had a fantastic retention rate because they are being driven by the vision. Of course, every employee has ESOPs, every employee has ownership in the company. So I make sure that they are all part and parcel of the big vision, and they will be the first ones to benefit when something big happens in terms of liquidity event.
What is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur?
Entrepreneurship is all about freedom, right? In a job, you feel you are basically a slave to probably some other's thought process, right? It could be good, it could be very financially rewarding, you can grow to great heights and earn good amount of money. But at some point of time, I feel if you're servicing somebody else's vision. So entrepreneurship is all about fulfilling a vision, right, that you have, and the freedom that it accords you, that whether it is, if it is good, you take all the bouquets. But if it is bad, then unlike a job where you can resign and move on, you should have the courage to be in the market and face it. And people will talk, right? So you have to be ready for it. So that's the courage that you should have if you want to be an entrepreneur. And of course, if it works out, then obviously a lot of credit goes to you. Not everything, but a lot goes to you. But in case of a failure, 100% blame comes to you. That's the difference.
That is true. Probably my final question to you. Tell us about the different lessons that you have learned over your entrepreneurial journey, which we can take away and apply to our ventures. And more importantly, we don't have to go through the same learning process, which might be tough, that you have already learned.
So first and foremost, I believe if you're doing entrepreneurship, first is you must look at the market and try and solve a difficult problem, right? And which has huge, far-reaching potential, right? Once it is solved, right? Easy. If you try to solve easy problems, then you're not going to go too far. You will be in a very crowded place very, very soon, right? So the problem you are solving should have very far-reaching implications. If not globally, at least in the country, which itself is 100 crore people, right? That's number one. When you are laying out your vision, one should not be very cautious about it, because you need to be a bit irrational. A little bit of madness is always appreciated in case of entrepreneurship. Totally practical, rational people trying to hedge their bets also doesn't count. So a bit of madness is always required in that person. Number three is never say die attitude, because ventures, I believe, don't die because they run out of funding or anything. Ventures die because the entrepreneur runs out of energy. Very clearly, right? So you need to be a powerhouse when it of energy when it comes to this thing, and that comes from conviction. Very, very simple. If you have conviction, you will actually end up working 6 days to 6.5 days. I won't ever recommend anybody working 7 days, but entrepreneurship is, like it or not, 24/7 job. You can never cut yourself off from it because it's your baby, right? For all practical purposes. So if you are mad about your vision, and you are really mad about making it work, right, only then you will find that energy to work 24/7, year on year.
Well,
Otherwise, you're trying to emulate somebody else's goal, and if your goal is to earn money, my one advice will be, entrepreneurship is the worst place to be in if you want to be rich. Okay, because the risk reward ratio, where you can become rich in a top jobs working somewhere, is very, very high in your favor, versus actually launching your own venture and dreaming of becoming rich, because the mortality rate in case of ventures is very, very high.
true. Well, on this note, I think we have come to the end of the session. It was really beautiful, and lot of learnings we have got from this session. Thanks for your time, Vineet, and our best wishes for all the ventures that you have built and will be building in future.